So now we're moving into a Q&A.
Hi, I'm Kate O'Hare, and I'm social media manager here at Family Theater Productions, and I've been watching what's been
you've
going
been
on.
reading the
I've
comments.
been reading the comments on the live stream. So I'm going to help facilitate the Q&A here. I asked people what they liked about you, and they said that you're so passionate and articulate, and you interact so much with your subscribers, and you're really sweet, but apparently you're not. Someone just said you're exaggerating. We got some questions written down from people attending, and one of them wanted to know if having such an ardent faith, before when you were Church of Christ and now when you're Catholic, among other millennials, sort of put you on the outs a little bit. Is that a challenge with other people your age? Because you're what, like 23, 24?
24.
Yeah. So what is that experience like?
Yeah, I feel like most of my friends are agnostic, maybe grew up Christian but don't go to church anymore, don't care that much. A lot of my friends are atheist as well. Honestly, I never experience a problem. One of my roommates tells me like every other day, lately, she's like, you're not judgmental at all. Like you're the least judgmental Christian I've ever met. And she's like perplexed by it because so many religious people are trying to judge other people. I've been thinking about this a lot recently. I'm writing a video script about it, but I think that the Bible tells us to judge people within the church. Like we should be judging ourselves, and in the beginning of 1 Corinthians, Paul is like, I judge you so much for doing this. But I think the problem with Christianity is we kind of take that and are judging people who are not Christians, and that's kind of one of my issues with how we talk about like LGBT issues, where people want people to change before they interact with Christ. And so I think the reason why people who are agnostic are able to be my friends or watch my channel is because I'm not going to be judging someone to adhere by my moral code if you're not like an insider part of the religion.
So it's sort of like asking someone from another country to abide by our law.
That's interesting.
How do you spread the gospel without sounding judgmental, but also without being too nice in a way that it just becomes untrue?
I don't think you should go around like telling people what to believe. I think you should ask questions, and through asking questions, point them towards truth. Like my roommates, I never am like, let's talk about, well, sometimes we read the Bible together, but I'm never like, you should be Christian, Aquinas, proofs for the existence of God. But they'll ask me questions about why I believe what I believe sometimes. And it's kind of like, if they want to learn more, I'm always there. I'll help them, I'll give them books to read, but you can't like demand that people have knowledge. Like they have to be open and willing to listen.
Because you could tell them all day long, but if they aren't interested,
yeah,
it's not going to sink in.
So just don't talk to people unless they ask questions.
During the talk, there were a lot of people discussing their issues with mental illness and their medication and their troubles and their... So what is the reaction you get to when you talk about that? Because I know I've learned a lot about bipolar by listening to your videos. So what is the sort of feedback and interaction you're getting from being very open about the challenges you face?
I think one of the most positive things is a lot of people who are messaging me for advice are the people who are like, they're a family member or they're dating someone with bipolar. It's people who love them, who are wanting to love them more. And it's amazing. It's just given me so much hope in humanity, how far people will go to like take care of people they love. Like one of the things I get a lot in manic episodes, it's really common to go have sex with random people. Like if you're in a marriage, to go cheat on your spouse, but it's just the manic episode. Like it's not at all, they're not in control. And so a lot of people who are married to someone who is bipolar, who suddenly went manic and got diagnosed, they're willing to take the person back and to work with them through it because they see the illness.
Do you think you'd be the person you are today? If you could wish the bipolar away, would you?
I would erase myself. I think it's impossible to separate the illness from your personality. Like when you go to a psychiatrist, you have to have like criteria for a major depressive episode, for a manic episode. But there's certain things about my life, like having extreme empathy is like a bipolar trait that wouldn't be a part of me if I wasn't bipolar. And just a lot of my creativity and euphoria for life, I wouldn't have. So if I got rid of my bipolar, I'd probably be very introverted and like not care about people at all. Because I said that I'm like very black and white and don't have emotions. But because I'm bipolar, I have this extreme empathy. But if I didn't have that, I think I would just be like, I wouldn't care about people that much.
And they've been actually going back and forth talking a lot about Mary and Eucharistic adoration. So let's just start with Mary. What was your Mary journey? Because I know for a lot of Protestant converts, coming into a faith that's so admiring of Mary and so involved with her, it can be real challenging. So what was it like for you?
It was really awful. I thought at first that everyone who was becoming Catholic was being brainwashed by accepting all of the Marian theology. Even still at Mass, when we say the penitentiary prayer and we asked Mary to pray for us, sometimes it still makes me uncomfortable because I'm coming from the tradition, which is saying that we're worshiping her. But what really helped me was reading a lot of the writings by Irenaeus and just studying the early church councils and how the theology of Mary was primarily used to preserve the teachings of the divinity of Jesus. So that was really, really helpful in all my research.
And Eucharistic adoration, for those out there who don't know what that is a Catholic practice where we consecrate a host, and in Catholic theology, a consecrated host is the body, blood, soul, and divinity of Christ. So a consecrated host is placed in a holder, usually a decorative holder, a monstrance, so everybody can see it because it's not that big. And you go to a church, or it can happen outdoors, and you just sit in the presence of Christ and pray or read or do whatever else quietly you want to do. So what's your experience with adoration? Because it's a particularly sort of Catholic, it's probably also an Orthodox thing, but it's definitely a Catholic thing.
It's been really peaceful, and just my experience in Mass in general, I feel like in Protestant church, it's more intense with the worship, and it's almost like the sermon is a class you're taking notes of. But just my experience in Mass in general and Eucharistic adoration as well, and even the Rosary, the type of prayer and experience is very contemplative. Whereas I feel like reading the Bible as a Protestant, it's very logic, what you're getting out of it, going from point to point. But I feel like Catholicism wants you to fully meditate and think about things. So my experience in Eucharistic adoration, I feel like I can just be, and I don't need to be constantly like thinking or doing, but I can just be with Christ. And that's a type of peace that I didn't experience as much when I was Protestant.
Our founder here at Family Theater Productions, who's Venerable Father Patrick Peyton, priest of the Holy Cross Order, because we're part of an organization under the Holy Cross Order. He was called the Rosary priest, and he went around the world, including to the Philippines, including like everywhere, to promote family prayer and the Rosary. Of course, the Rosary is something, Protestants do family prayer, but they don't do the Rosary. So what was your introduction to the Rosary, and how does it fit into your spirituality and your life now?
I resisted it for a long time. I didn't even own a rosary until my confirmation. My sponsor gave me one. I think that just a lot of the Mary stuff, even though I believed it and understood it intellectually, I wasn't willing to give my heart to it, if that makes sense. You can intellectually accept something but not emotionally trust it.
Well, people asked you in a live stream if you're going to leave the church, and you said, yeah, of course not. No way. What gives you that confidence?
I don't make decisions based upon emotions. I know that obviously it's a really evil, awful situation, but the reason I'm Catholic isn't because of the people, it's not because of the bishops, it's not because of the way I feel, it's because of the Eucharist, and it's what Christ established and the apostolic teaching. And so I would just say that like when you're deciding what is true, just like take away all the emotion and all the people. All that matters is the truths of the church and Christ.
What do you want to say to millennials to say, open up your mind to the supernatural, to the existence of God? What sort of thing could you say to someone just like, oh, why bother? What's the big deal about it? I'm fine.
Yeah, I guess I would want people to just start questioning reality. Why does the world exist? Why is there truth? And to kind of encourage them that we're not saying that who you are right now is like not enough, or like you don't have God as a part of you at all, But the Catholic belief is really that like God is present in everyone, like every single moment of the world would not be able to exist if God did not have power within it. So just encouraging people that it's not like they need to completely change who they are, but just bring themselves more in alignment with Christ.
I remember listening to a talk by Father Mike Schmitz, and he was talking, he's a college chaplain in Minnesota. That's his full-time job. And he was talking to this guy on campus, like a BMOC on campus. And he gave the guys all the arguments for the existence of God and for Jesus and all this. And the guy listens, he's like, wow, whoa, okay, that means that if I buy into this, I got to change my whole life. Father Mike's like, yeah. And the guy's like, whoa. And that's scary for a lot of people.
Yeah, one of my best friends who's agnostic, he's probably gonna become Christian at some point, but he says one of his holdups is he doesn't like a lot of people. He just like thinks a lot of people are really boring, and he doesn't want to get to know people, and he's like, if I became Christian, I would have to like love everyone, and that would be awful. So I think you're totally right that we have to change a lot, and it's very painful.
You can't just write everybody off and go do your thing.
Yeah, you really have to care about everyone.
So now you have the YouTube channel and you're writing a book. What's your 5-year plan?
My 5-year plan.
So when you look down the line, what do you see?
I'm starting a speaking career, so I've been traveling a bit for that, and I
saw you with Patrick Coffin up in Canada.
Yeah. It was really fun. Him and Brian are amazing. But I have my memoir written on my conversion into Catholicism, and then I have another memoir about my bipolar journey that I wrote kind of like on and off a couple years ago, but it's been very triggering kind of reading back through it just because of how horrible it was. So getting those both published and continuing to write. I absolutely love writing, but I will never quit YouTube.
So before you were Catholic and you started going to Mass, I imagine for someone who comes from, is Church of Christ, is that considered like a Pentecostal tradition or what is it?
It's not Pentecostal. It's similar to Presbyterian.
Okay.
That's what it came out of.
So was Mass like completely befuddling to you, or what was that like?
It's really intimidating just because there's a lot of kneeling, standing, and I never had kneeling at a church before. But I think I was expecting it to be, I don't know what I was expecting it to be, but I found it to be very approachable and just like, it's very normal. Like there's scripture readings, there's worship, there's like the homily, which felt like a sermon. So it was a lot more approachable than I thought it would be.
Have you been to a Byzantine Mass?
Yes, I have.
What was that like? Because we understand that's a lot longer and there's a lot more incense.
Yeah, I mean, I absolutely love the Orthodox Church as well, and I attended Divine Liturgy for like 6 months of 2017. I really wanted to become Orthodox, but I actually appreciate Byzantine so much more. I love icons, I love the incense. It just really feels like you're in the throne room of heaven. Mm-hmm. They really want to give that aesthetic.
A couple people in the stream talking about converting, and someone saying you can go to Mass even if you haven't converted, and you should go to RCIA. So if someone comes up to you and says, I'm kind of thinking about being Catholic, but I got like no idea what I should do, what would be your first 3 steps to get them down the road?
I think that RCIA is not what people think it is. It's not making a commitment to become Catholic. A lot of people go to RCIA and leave. People are able to come in just to ask questions. And so I think a lot of people have this idea that if you start, like, you have to go through with it.
Oh no, we chain you to the chair. It's a little known fact, it's true.
Yeah, so just the RCIA is really chill and you can just go to ask questions. It's no commitment.
What was your most favorite and least favorite thing about RCIA? For people who don't know, RCIA is the rite of Christian initiation for adults. It's when people are adults and they either want to come into the church or they want to complete their sacraments and be confirmed. This is a series of classes that they take to get educated. Best and worst about RCIA.
So I think the worst is I was expecting it to be very regimented and have kind of a topic every week, and mine was very chill. We just watched Bishop Barron's Catholicism series, which, looking back, I learned so much about church history. I would know nothing.
Yep.
I mean, I know some church history, but it's like 2,000 years of saints and doctors, so much going on. So it was non-regimented, and it was a really small group of people, but I became so close to this small group of people and to my priest because he was there.
So what's the next big Catholic thing you want to do? Because there's things like you have to go on a retreat, and you have to go like to Assisi or to Vatican or whatever. So what's your Catholic bucket list right now?
I really want to go to Rome. My boyfriend and I are kind of planning a trip there, and also
That's the famous Trevor.
Yeah, a lot of people who meet me are like, yeah, I pray for you all the time, and Trevor. He thinks it's so weird. Yeah, but I also want to visit Guadalupe in Mexico. I think that'd be amazing. I read a book about that this summer, and I think it's so amazing.
Went there and blew her away. She thought it was just astonishing.
Yeah.
So if you got to talk to Pope Francis, you got a 2-minute back and forth. What do you want to say? What do you want to know? I mean, seriously, what would you say other than, what do you want to say to the Pope?
I mean, there's a lot of controversy going on right now. I would, with the whole Vegano thing, I would want him to just, be honest about what happened. I think a lot of people want that. It's really hard seeing, a big leader of, our entire 1 billion Catholics not being able to just answer basic questions. I think it just makes all of us look kind of like cowards. So currently, that's how I feel. But
if Mary came walking down the aisle right now, what would you like to ask her? Because she changed his diapers.
Yeah.
It's I got questions. What are your questions?
I don't know. I would probably want to hug her. I don't know. I would probably just say thank you, because a lot of my subscribers were praying the Rosary for me to become Catholic, and so I think she really helped.
What does your rosary look like?
I have a lot of different rosaries. A lot of companies will send me their rosaries, but one I really like is kind of watercolor beads.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's really beautiful.
Who's your patron saint?
Irenaeus.
Who's one of the early church fathers. He's the year 100 or something.
He was born around 130.
Yeah.
So he was taught by Polycarp, and Polycarp was the disciple of the Apostle John. And so his teachings are 2 steps away from one of Jesus' original apostles. So a lot of his theology that's absolutely essential for Catholicism, I believe everything he says because it's so close to Jesus.